Quyen
Yes.
Tran is the cinematographer for the Amazon comedy film Palm Springs. I'm at Nebula Gold Derby, here to ask you, Q, what was the most important thing to get right when making Palm Springs?
It was really hard to establish tone because I think the movie borders on comedy and drama. And
Mm.
so, I think in developing the visual look for the show, Max and I really tried to nail down the tone. Do we light it bright? Do we light it dark? Is it a combination of the two? And so, really, we had to nail down the story and this unique tone first before we dove into the visuals.
Yeah. There is so much, there's drama, there's comedy, there's sci-fi. Which of those sort of elements did you find sort of the most challenging to get right?
I think it's the sci-fi part of it because it's so low tech. We had no money, and so trying to come up with very creative ways of tackling the technical VFX parts of it was really challenging. Just because we didn't really have a supervisor, we had no idea what we would be capable of achieving in post. And so we would frame up a shot and say, well, maybe the dinosaurs will be this tall. Maybe we'll be able to get special effects to paint that out. So that, I think, really technically tackling all the sci-fi bits was the most challenging.
What was the best the thing you're most proud of that you were able to work out or be creative with, the little shortcut to get that done right?
I think there are two things I was really proud of. One was the scene. It's just a really quick moment, and as you know, there's a lot of montage and torture scenes and bits, and so there was one. It was really fun to design. It's when Andy's character Niles is driving, and Kristen's character Sarah is car surfing, and he hits a bump, and she goes flying back. And so I think the timing of that was really, really hilarious. I have a BTS video of it as we were writing the process trailer. And so Andy would be driving and then we say bump and he'd go like this. And then we throw a dummy over the car. And so you would see it pass through the frame in the back and his reaction in the rear view and just, and then her wake up, no, no, no. I think tying all those pieces together was really fun. As far as the scene I'm really proud of is I guess it's more like a theme where we chose to light the cave really orange. And so orange became kind of the symbol, the color of love and hope. And so the tent where they first make love is orange. And then the color of light in the cave is orange. And then also in one of the sequences when Andy's character Niles realizes that Sarah is the one in the bar. We did this whole sequence, which actually got cut, but we dollied back from Niles. And then in the background, we had Andy's stunt double and photo double in the background come and give Sarah a hug. And that's done in real time. And so they eventually cut it so that we just do a push-in onto Sarah's character and the light goes from white to orange. And I wanted that to really bring us back at the subconscious level to the tent, to the cave where they, ultimately define their love.
So orange was the big color of Palm Springs.
It was.
Yeah, there you go. Were there any other colors that sent sort of messages in the film or represented?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think sunlight, I let it play really harsh. I didn't try to cover it up. I didn't try to soften it. And then thankfully, Kristen and Andy are so gorgeous. They don't really need that help, to soften the light. Thank God, because we really didn't have time or money to bring in the fly swatters and the rigs.
Yeah.
So using really harsh sunlight to tell that story as they are searching for their peace out in the desert was really intentional and really important. And then of course, all the night work was lighting her with a whiter shade, lighting him with the more golden or orange shade. It's all very intentional, whether I chose to light with tungsten or daylight. But hopefully when you look back, if you watch the movie again, you can like kind of see those subtle choices, and maybe it helps at the emotional level as well.
Yeah. And I guess like often when we think about cinematography, we think about these big epic sort of shots and moments, but is there just a little choice that you made throughout the film that you're particularly proud of that might otherwise go unnoticed?
Yeah, I don't know if, I mean, you might notice it, but in all the wake ups, Sarah's character is always looking camera left, and Andy's character Niles is always looking camera right. And so they're looking on, I guess, it's kind of appropriate in my bedroom here. Niles is on this side and Sarah's on this side. And so they're facing in, but they never actually wake up with each other, which is the tragic part of it all, because, when you go to bed and you wake up, you're back to, zero, back to where you wake up. And so Max and I designed it in such a way that they would wake up and it would look like they're waking up with each other, but they weren't, until finally we get to the tent and we shoot one overhead shot of them, and they're finally lying in bed together looking at each other, and she's struggling so hard to stay awake. She wants to savor this moment, and it's so sweet. And then she falls asleep, and then when she wakes up, of course, it reveals the terrible, thing that has been keeping her really, really sad this whole time. And so like that was really, really thought out, and we designed it, and I'm just really proud of that whole visual arc.
And that's great, because if they ever get out of the time loop, it means that they won't need to argue about who sleeps on which side of the bed.
Exactly.
Oh, fantastic. What is there a particular what was the shot of the whole film that you think sort of best encapsulates Palm Springs?
I'm sorry, Matt. Can you repeat that? Because the connection.
Yeah. No. What is the shot of Palm Springs that you think encapsulates the film the best?
Well, I think it would be probably the overhead shot of Andy on a pizza floating in the pool.
Yeah.
I think that shot really kind of defines his character, at least, but also it's just so apropos for this moment in time in our history, in our world, in this pandemic. I know over there it's not as bad, but over here we're at the epicenter of it all. And so, floating on an island, it's kind of funny, the lonely island, kind of captures the whole essence of the film, I think.
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought about Lonely Island before, that he's sort of on this lonely island. What was it like filming that shot? Was it like difficult with the water and all that sort of thing?
It was really difficult because we just had no time to shoot the whole movie. We had, just over 20 days. And so for that film, I kind of begged to have 3 cameras. I was like, please, I really need to have 3 cameras. We're never going to make our day. We're going to compromise so many of our shots. We didn't have money for a Technocrane. So my key grip and I reached out to our pals, and we got a free Technocrane for that shot. And so I really credit my crew and everyone for being able to pull that off, because it was something I wanted to get so badly. And I was like, I can't get this shot without a crane. I can't do it on a drone. It's going to be, unstable and unsafe. And so, so my crew really pulled together, and we got this free crane, which I'm so thankful for. And on that day, that whole water sequence we shot in, 4 hours. And so I had 3 cameras going. I was operating one. My B camera operator was on the crane, and then I had my friend on the underwater camera. So, we had 3 units going, and it's just go, 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 go. And then actually the sequence where he goes under and she dives in after him. But before she does that, she throws beer cans at him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was watching, I was like, oh, it's not getting like the propulsion that we want, because you have to really throw it hard. And the poor the props people were really scared of hitting Andy.
Yeah.
And so I said, give me that beer. I'll do it. And so it was my first AC, who was like a semi-pro baseball player, and myself just, chucking those beer cans into the pool so that they would go whiz right by him. And I was like, I have a pretty good arm. I feel confident I won't hit Andy. And Andy was like, I don't care, just hit me. It's cool. So I think just all that, the underwater work was really, and the water work was really challenging just because of the lack of time. But it was so integral to the story. So I'm glad that everything worked out.
Yeah, and it looks so cool, those beer cans whizzing like down the water. Like, were they full of like beer, or did you need to fill them with something else, or like?
I think they were rubber. We had like, but the thing is, you know what it was? Maybe we had like, it was like rubber beer cans, but then we tried those and then they didn't go in. Yeah. So then we used like the real cans weighted down, and we're like, well, this is the safety thing. But so we'll like throw it, and because of displacement, you're like, is that going to go that way? Is that going to hit Andy? But it all worked out really great. No one got hurt.
I remember in old school Fates, there was always the game where you have to drop a coin in water and get it to land on top of another coin or something, and it was always moved. Like, it never got there. Yeah. So, we're an awards website at Gold Derby. We love following the awards and the Academy Awards in particular. You're a cinematographer, but there's never been a female cinematographer that's won the Oscar, as far as I believe, unless I'm incorrect.
Not yet.
Yeah. Well, like, what is, like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I think there are many deserving women in the past who should have won. And, other people too, not just women, but I think everything should be based on work. And so, I think it's time, and I think there's so many talented women out there who deserve the honor. So hopefully soon. But at the same time, Roger Deakins was nominated. I forget, like 13 times before he won.
Yeah.
But I think it just depends on the vote. As we know, every vote counts. It's so relevant. So
yeah. Is there a particular cinematographer or someone's work that inspired you growing up?
Absolutely. My mentor is Roger Deakins. Over the years, he's just been saying story, story, story. Anytime I have any questions about, projects, like advice, he's like, well, do you like the story? And I think for me, that really, it's been driven home many times. For me, my work, I wouldn't say it's gimmicky. I wouldn't say it's flashy, but it always moves the story forward. It always tells a story in a way that is not gratuitous. I hope. Yeah. That's my aim, at least. And in a way that, captures the actors' emotional performances and furthers that narrative along, because, as a cinematographer, we're visual storytellers. So we still have to really understand the story in order to tell it. And Roger's work really has spoken to me over the years.
Do you have a favorite Roger Deakins film?
I mean, yeah, several. I would say No Country for Old Men is one of my absolute favorites of all time. It's so compelling in so many ways, and so beautiful, but yet so, scary and funny. I just love his work altogether. His body of work. Another favorite movie, Shawshank Redemption. I saw it again the other day and I was like, wow, this really holds up. And that's what I love about his work, is it's so classical. It's just classical, strong storytelling, and it doesn't look dated. And I think that a sign of a excellent artist is.
I think Roger Deakins, unfortunately, the year of No Country for Old Men was nominated against himself for the assassination of Jesse James, which probably split some of his vote for the Oscars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good to have, but
yeah. Do you remember the moment you wanted to be a cinematographer?
The moment I wanted to be a cinematographer is not really clear, because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I think as a college grad, you're out in the real world and you're like, oh, I just got to pay my bills. I got to make rent. Like, what can I do? What's what's practical and what can I do? So I was a photojournalist before I became a cinematographer. And so I'd always been interested in the visual arts. But I think as a photojournalist, you have one frame to tell a story. And so in moving into moving pictures, I was like, wow, I have a lot of shots at this. I don't have like one shot. So I feel like that was like a nice and natural organic transition into continuing my work as a storyteller. And so I, jumped into film school, did that whole route and, continued to take photos and now I'm here, shooting movies and I'm just very grateful.
Mm. Roger Deakins tells you story with cinematography. What do you think, if you were to sort of summarize, what is the story of Palm Springs?
The story of Palm Springs, I should know this answer. Max has a much better answer. I think it's about finding your purpose on this earth.
Yeah. That's good. Did you? Yeah. And what did you learn making the film?
I learned exactly that. So I know why I'm here.
Why are you here? Yeah. What is your purpose, Q?
I have no purpose. I have no purpose. I think in watching the film, in shooting the film, I learned, oh my goodness, why did I sign on to do this indie project with no money? No, I'm kidding. In shooting the film, I really learned that it's really up to the actors to tell the story. And I was just amazed how well the actors were able to keep the arc so tight. And that really impressed me because we were shooting, you're shooting out of sequence, but especially for a film like this, where it's all over the place in time, like for Kristen to be able to say, okay, hold on, this happens. Okay, got it. And she just like nail it. And it's just so impressive. We shot all of her wake ups before lunch on day one. Like that's just crazy, right? But for her to keep track of everything and it's just so impressive. So I really have, not that I didn't respect actors before, which I absolutely do. I'm married to one, but to witness that was really mind blowing, and I just have nothing but the utmost respect for them.
Yeah. Well, Q, thanks so much for talking with us today about Palm Springs. All the best of luck with the upcoming award nominations for yourself and for the film more broadly. And people watching this interview can go to goldderby.com where you can make your own awards predictions and join the conversation about film, television, and entertainment awards. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Matt, for having me.